is an all-government effort to
I don't know if it's going to be too interesting.
Terrorism, to dismantle.
If it's not too interesting, we'll turn it off. If it's not too interesting, we'll turn it off.
Acts of political violence and terrorism. What we have seen, if you look at whether it be going back to the riots that started with Black Lives Matter and all the way through to the Antifa riots, the attacks on ICE officers, the doxing campaigns, and now the political assassinations, these are not lone, isolated events. This is part of an organized campaign of radical left terrorism. It is structured, it is sophisticated, it is well-funded, it is well-planned. There is really no parallel like this to anything else in the country right now. There is an entire system of feeder organizations that provide money, resources, weapons, and when they're attacking ICE officers, they're attacking
This is Stephen Miller,
buildings,
I hate him.
Where they're isolating public officials for harassment, doxing, intimidation, and ultimately attempted assassination. It is all carefully planned, executed, and thought through. It is terrorism on our soil. Because of this executive order, Cash and Pam are going to have the tools they need, working with Scott, to take these organizations apart piece by piece. And the central
Antifa is not an organization.
Is going to be the Joint Terrorism Task Force, or JTTF, which sits inside the Federal Bureau of Investigation. But for those at home who are worried about terrorism in this country, they need to understand, because of President Trump's strength, because of his vision, because of his leadership, we are now going to use the entire force of the federal government to uproot these organizations root and branch. And again, that's only possible because of President Trump and his leadership.
Thank you. Steve Cash, please.
I'm actually really curious. So they're saying that they're going to use the full strength of the Trump administration to attack domestic terrorism on U.S. soil. Why did they name like BLM riots and Antifa? Right? Like, I disagree that like Antifa is a terrorist organization. You already know that. But even assuming that they are a terrorist organization, why didn't they name like alt-right communities such as neo-Nazis parading around like North Carolina? Why aren't they a terrorist? So why are neo-Nazis not a terrorist organization, but being anti-fascist is? Why is the KKK not a terrorist organization, but being anti-fascist is?
Yes, as Steve was saying, Mr. President, thanks to your leadership, crime is going downward in a tremendous fashion, and that's what we want for every city in America. And the FBI's premier flagship enterprise, the Joint Terrorism Task Force, are honored to lead this initiative with our partners at Treasury and Homeland Security, because our citizens are being attacked by, as Stephen said, organized violence, and is being paid for, not by them, by other people. So what we are going to do, combining forces as Scott and I have done in these last few months, is follow the money. People and organizations have collected funds and put them out into the streets of America and organized violence across our country. And thanks to your recognition of this and this executive order and the AG's leadership to lead out and prosecute these individuals, we are properly going to chase them down like the domestic terrorists that they are, and our streets and our communities are going to be safer because the JTTF and the FBI and Treasury and DHS and DOJ are going to combine forces like never before to root out this new evil that is perpetrating our criminal activities across our societies. And we are just so thankful for your leadership and recognition of it. It's not easy to do.
Good job. Thank you very much,
Who
Pam.
specifically do you want to target?
What?
Besides Antifa, is there a specific group or person you're targeting with this?
Any organized group. Any organized group who are committing these crimes, and we're working with the Secretary of Treasury. You know what law enforcement has told us under President Trump's leadership? He's taken the handcuffs off law enforcement. They can do their jobs now, thanks to you, President Trump, and that's what's happening. And all of these...
He's taking the handcuffs off of law enforcement and has better equipped our law enforcement agencies to do their jobs. Meanwhile, he was convicted of 34 felonies inside of a criminal court and then denied the outcome of the court, said the prosecutor should be locked up, and the judge was ultra-left. What do you think that does for public support in MAGA of the criminal justice system, its efficacy, and its ability to dictate who did and didn't commit a crime? Additionally, how the hell does calling it a hostile act against the administration to vote for the full release of the Epstein files to the public, including those law enforcement officers, enable them to do their job, when inevitably it would, as it would let out all of the facts about who did what, how it was illegal, and penalizing the safety of our children through literal sex trafficking.
Agencies that Cash mentioned, we work hand in hand together. Our prosecutors were following the money with Treasury. We're working with Homeland Security. Cash's agents, all of our agents, DEA, ATF, U.S. Marshals, combined, are working, and with state and local government, to take these people off the streets who are jeopardizing lives.
Can I just illustrate this? So I was talking with Cash and Stephen about this a couple of days ago, sir. So I believe it was in Oregon where you had a federal building where there were men in black ski masks who are committing acts of violence, who are shutting down a government building. To the president's point, they don't come from nowhere. These are paid people. This is organized. They're committing acts of political terrorism on American soil. And it's time we had a government that looked out for the American people rather than the people who are committing violence against the American people.
When you go out to Portland and you see what's happening in Portland, this is like nobody's ever seen anything
fuck, I
like
just
it.
spilled
Every
water all
night.
over myself.
And this has gone on for years. They just burned the place down, and you know the shop owners, most of them have left, but the few shops that are open, they just use plywood and just like 3/4-inch plywood. They don't put storefronts in because they know it's going to be burned down. These are professional agitators.
That's right.
These are bad people, and they're paid a lot of money by rich people, some of whom we know. I'm sure I know some. I don't. If I knew, I wouldn't associate.
Do you guys want to know who like truly the professional, funded, orchestrated agitators are? ICE. ICE has committed a confirmed 510 examples or instances of human rights abuse on American soil in the last 8 months, per a report from a senator from some state out east. Okay? Every day we hear about an ICE agent with a black mask over their face, just like Donald Trump's administration suggested, brandishing firearms to 4-year-olds, causing them to pee their pants, and then taking them to a detention center, not giving them a change of clothes for hours. Every day we hear, like for instance, about multiple accounts of sexual abuse and rape inside of ICE detention centers, such as the 3 different lawsuits launched by 3 different people of rape against the commander of a Louisiana ICE detention center. That is organized terror from people wearing black masks, well funded by rich individuals.
Because I'll be in trouble because Pam will say, why are you associating with this person? But I will tell you that these are bad people, and they're paying a lot of money, millions of dollars. But take a look at Portland sometime. These are wild, these are crazy people, and they're trying to burn down buildings, including federal buildings. And on my list of things that I want to do before
Burn down federal buildings?
we finish up with the cities, because
You
I
don't
think we're going
say?
to whip the cities back into shape, but we have to.
You'd burn
we
down
cannot let
federal
our
buildings?
cities- and that's a small example, but it's the most violent example. It's every night, and they've done it for years.
1 second.
You'd think maybe at some point they made their point
Burn
and
down
what are they
federal
doing?
buildings?
But we're going to get out there and we're going to do a pretty big
Attacking
number of these
federal
people in
buildings?
Portland that are doing that. They're professional agitators and anarchists.
Just name a
They're actually anarchists. Yeah.
Just so we
Go
can-
ahead. Why don't you defend? Let's see you defend them, Jeff.
No, I'm not defending anyone. I just want, so that we can just explain this in our stories, can you name a couple?
You don't explain it right, though, Jeff. Go ahead. Let's go. Maybe let's give you another chance. Go ahead.
Antifa, Soros,
Yeah.
what names are we talking about?
Well, Soros is a name certainly that I keep hearing. I don't know, but Soros is a name that I hear. I hear a lot of different names. I hear names of some pretty rich people that are radical left people. Maybe I hear about a guy named Reid Hoffman. Somebody, a pretty rich guy, I guess, and I hear about him. I don't know, maybe.
Reid Hoffman, that's the founder of LinkedIn. Reid Hoffman funded E. Jean Carroll's court case against Trump. E. Jean Carroll didn't have the millions of dollars to pay for very expensive lawyers for years and years and years to combat Donald Trump's very expensive lawyers inside of that criminal court where inevitably she got him held liable for rape. So Reid Hoffman, being a goddamn American patriot, stepped in and said, hey, I'm a fucking billionaire. Let me give you some money to be able to do this. I want him held accountable. He raped you. He deserves to be held accountable for it. And now Donald Trump is saying that because Reid Hoffman helped his great victim have him held accountable by a civil court, all of a sudden, Reid Hoffman is a literal terrorist funding literal terrorists.
And maybe could be him, could be a lot of people. We hear the same names, but they're bad, and we're going to find out. And if they are funding these things, they're going to have some problems because they're agitators and they're anarchists. These are anarchists. Really bad. Okay, yeah, please.
Mr. Jennings, can you, Mr. President, can you comment on,
Who you
Mr.
with?
President,
Who you with?
I'm with the Center Square. Sarah Rodriguez is my name. Sarah, there's also, as you know, Antifa is not just a domestic terror, or now a domestic terror organization. It's also international. I know the Netherlands is looking at also designating them a terror organization.
Right.
Have you been working with your intel community and your DNI to possibly expand that to making them designated
Yes,
an
we have.
international terror
Yeah, we have been.
organization?
Yep. It's an international. In many cases, it is international.
Mr.
Yeah.
Madden, on Antifa, if someone takes to the streets of America and says they're Antifa, what happens to them? What will happen to them?
Well, I'd say the maximum under the law, and we'll see. Now, if they kill somebody,
I'm Antifa. So they just asked the question, what happens if somebody takes to the streets and says that they're Antifa? What's going to happen to him? He says the maximum under the law. I'm Antifa. I'm anti-fascist. Are you anti-fascist? Are you Antifa? Are you anti-fascist?
we just signed a death penalty, so it depends where it is. But if they kill,
Whoa! Stop saying that! Whoa! Whoa! I'm not Antifa! I'm not Antifa! I'm not Antifa! Neither are you. You're also not Antifa. None of us are Antifa. He said that. I was just a joke. He said that specifically about like murderers, I think.
somebody, which they do. I mean, people are dying. You go out to Portland, people die out there. Many people have died over the years in Portland. Portland is, I don't know how anybody lives there. It's amazing. But it's anarchy out there, and that's what they want. They want anarchy. Like when they attacked Seattle and took over a big percentage of the city, I was going to go out and we were going to do a big number. They heard that and everybody broke up all of a sudden. But, you know, you have governors that have to run that, and a lot of them don't do that. I don't like to go in. I'd rather have Pritzker's support when we go into Chicago. But if we don't have it, that's okay, too, because we're paramount, and we will do what we have to do. We're going to make Chicago safe. We're going to make we're going to make as many as we can, and usually that involves a surge. But what we did with, in the case of Chicago, by having the FBI go out there 5 or 6 months ago, we brought it down a little bit. You know, a little bit is 25%, so it's not so little. But it is when you're talking about the kind of
He's making no
crime
sense.
and killings and murders that you hear.
Is this guy like coherent to anybody?
Chicago's a great city. As the Union Pacific said, the head of the Union Pacific, who's a great guy, started off as a low-rung guy. He said he started at a caboose.
What guy is he talking
and now
about?
He's the chairman of the Union Pacific, but he's a great guy. But he said, "Sir,
Why are we
don't
talking
lose
about the
Chicago."
Union
The way he said it, I
Pacific?
said, boy, it really hit me. You know, here's a man that knows all the cities. The Union Pacific, I guess, is our largest railroad. And he knows all the cities. He's been doing it for 45 years. And he said, "Sir, don't lose Chicago."
He knows
And when
all
he
the
said that,
cities.
meant a lot to me. And we're going to go into Chicago very soon. We're going to take care of Memphis. We're going to take care of Memphis. You can't walk a block without getting shot. We're going to take care of that one. And just like we did Washington, D.C.
Dude, you can't just say that. Oh, God, you can't just say that. You can't just say that. You can't just be the president of the most powerful country on earth. Be the president of the United States of America and say, well, if you walk a block in Memphis, you're going to get shot. You can't just do that.
See, and we're gonna do Chicago very soon. Yeah.
We heard there could be an indictment on James Comey. Do you know if there is an indictment or?
I don't know. I know it's going on because I read the papers just like you do, right? So I don't know. Do you have anything to say about that?
We can't comment on that.
Can you comment on a New York Times, Madam Attorney General, can you comment on a New York Times report saying that Justice Department officials have asked attorneys to target a George Soros-funded group? And is this executive order that you just signed a part of that effort?
I'm not going to comment on whether there is or is not a pending investigation, but everything's on the table right now.
I don't think anybody has to ask, because if you look at Soros, he's at the top of every. In fact, sometimes they say, could he be involved in this many things? But he's in every story that I read. Stories that I read keep talking about Soros, and so you know, I guess he'd be a likely candidate. Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you very much.
Thank you for that, President.
Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you.
God, bro. Listen, guys. I'm gonna continue. I'm gonna continue to watch these on live with you guys because they're insane. They're so insane. Every single time Donald Trump hops on that mic, he drops like the most insane shit ever, and then no one talks about it, and then we just go right back to the debates with Trump supporters saying, "Oh, he's good for the economy." As if he didn't just say that if you walk a block in Memphis, you're going to die from getting shot, and Tylenol causes autism, and don't vaccinate your newborns because it's too much liquid. It's diabolical. It's diabolical. Why don't, like, maybe that's a good question. Why will Trump supporters never talk about his press conferences from the Oval? He's been doing them a lot. And we never hear about them from Trump supporters, like, ever at all, because of just how insane they always are and how terrible he always makes himself look. You know what I mean?